Hi everyone, Rebecca the Frugal Resinista here, and today I am testing out a product that I just found online, and we'll see how it looks and if it's something that you guys might enjoy doing as well. Before I ever started doing my own resin art, I found a video of someone who did a 3D fish in resin, where they actually poured resin, painted part of the fish, poured resin, painted more of the fish, poured resin, and stacked it so that this looked like a really realistic fish that was 3D in the resin. So I'm not a painter, and I always thought that was such a neat idea, but I don't know how to paint and I wouldn't be able to make a fish. And I happened to come across these 3D resin fish stickers. I'm super excited to try this, and I hope it works because otherwise I've got myself way too excited. But I found these on Amazon. You can get them in different sizes, different styles. They came with a bunch of different fish. I only paid $13 for this set, and I got 30 sheets of stickers that have fish of all different kinds, and they also have some different leaves that can float in your water. So I'm going to try this out today. We will see how it goes. You can also find resinAce. They are another YouTube channel, and they did this with the fish stickers. Once I found them, I looked it up on YouTube, and a couple people had tried it. So I'm going to try it as well. I'm going to modify it a little bit from how resinAce does it, but you should definitely check them out as well. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got this little bowl for $1 from Goodwill, and it looks like it was originally from Target. And I'm going to use it to be my bowl for my fish art here. I went to the pet store and I purchased a $3 bag of fish tank gravel, because if this works, I'm going to make a whole bunch of them. So I'm just going to put my gravel right in. And then I had some leftover slightly larger stones for some candles that I had made a few years ago, unrelated to resin. I thought I'd just set a couple of them in here just as a little bit of added decoration. Get some interesting colors and okay. So what I have to do first is mix some resin, and I'm going to pour just enough resin to cover all these stones so I have a flat, smooth surface to start sticking my stickers on. Alright, so with this first part, I can already see that it's going to be a little tricky to judge how much resin I need for each layer, because clearly I had to mix extra for this one, but you're supposed to do a really thin layer in between each of the layers of the fish. Also, some of my rocks are shifting a little bit, so I'm going to have to push them back down, and I'm going to have to babysit this a little because I have lots of bubbles coming up from underneath the rocks, and obviously I want this to be as smooth as possible. So I'm going to watch this for a tiny bit, and then we'll move on to the next layer. Well, I was going to wait until my resin was just kind of sticky, but because I poured it thick, it is actually completely solid in less than 2 hours. So that's fine. It's not a big deal. The rocks are still sticking up a little, so that's going to help the resin grab on. In retrospect, I would have put the resin in first and then the rocks, because I hit this with a blowtorch like 10 different times, and I still have a few bubbles, but I don't think it'll be too bad because once I put the other layers on that are thinner, I'll pop those bubbles, and I don't think you'll be able to see it really well. So I'm moving on to the actual stickers, and the one thing with these is that there's no order written down of what order you put these on, but I did read somewhere someone said to start with the small fins and go from there, so I'm assuming it goes in this order, and so that's how I'm going to do it, and we'll just see how it goes. The one thing I'm going to change from what I saw on YouTube is instead of just peeling these off and sticking them, I'm going to use my scissors to cut around the fish a little more, because in a couple shots you could see a reflection off of the bottom of some people's that looked like you could see this plastic edging. So I'm going to do these one at a time, but we'll speed the whole thing up so that you guys can just see the finished product. And here we go. All right, this is pretty much my finished product. Now, the short answer for this is that this actually works. It looks kind of cool. I really like the idea. The long answer is there is a pretty steep learning curve, and it's not nearly as easy as you think it would be. So let me just briefly talk you through a few things. The first one is, I don't know if you could tell when I had this sped up, but for 3 of the layers, I put resin down first and then I squished the sticker into it. I saw resinAce do that, and the reason I did it was because I figured as they were moving the sticker around, they were just using that to line it up just right. So when I did layer 3, I didn't do that because I thought, well, to me it would be easier to line it up if you just stick it on. And so I did that with layer 3, but once it hardened and everything, I looked back at it and I actually had some air bubbles under it without the resin that I hadn't had when I had done the resin. So tip number 1 that I would say is do put resin down and then slide your sticker into place. The second thing I noticed is actually pretty hard to get this lined up really well because you've got the resin distorting how you're seeing things, just like how water distorts the shape of things. It's not easy to line it up well, and I think you guys probably noticed with the last full layer I poured that I kept messing with the sticker a little bit because it was sliding as I was tilting and everything. So that's tricky. That's trickier than you think it's going to be. I will say when I did the first 2 layers, I thought, oh, this is not going to work at all because the sticker quality, to me, it's almost like the print is a tiny bit fuzzy, like it didn't print correctly. But what it is, what I think they did is that they planned different colors in different spots in the layers, and finally when I stuck the last layer on, then it looks like a solid fish. So I mean, all in all, I think it worked. You saw me on that last one attempt to cut. I had a second set of these fish, and I thought, you know, this looks 3D, but it's still a little flat, so maybe if I add a little more on top. But that's not going to work because that color was lighter than this, and once I got it on, you could definitely see that there was another layer on top because the colors didn't match. So, oh well, that's a good try. I could probably still use this one if I stick that on the bottom. If not, no big deal. But anyway, I encourage you guys to try it. It was fun. I think it's a neat idea. I think if I'm doing it again, and I will be because I've got a bunch of fish left, and I was thinking this would be fun to make a little coaster set of different fish. So I'm going to do those, and maybe I'll make that into a video. We'll see. But my thought is, even though this did turn out pretty 3D, I think instead of pouring super, super thin layers, I might add a little bit more in between. Once again, I got to do some bubbles here while I'm talking. Because even though this worked okay, I think that making the layers a little bit thicker would make it look more 3D. I didn't do it because I was worried that when you looked at it from the side, you'd see like empty space in the different layers. But I mean, if you really want to, if you tilt this one to the side, you can still see that. And I'm assuming with the people who actually paint the resin, that's the case as well, because there's no way to not have that happen. So anyway, I think this turned out pretty well. If I was doing this as a product score, I would give this like a 75%. I think that I could really get this to look cool, but I think it takes a lot more finagling and kind of a sharper learning curve than you expect it to when you see it and you're like, oh, stickers, this will be easy. So anyway, it'd be worth trying. I think there's 3 different sets. You can get a really large set that's got a lot more than what I have here. You can get this medium-sized set that I got, and I will show you a few of these real quick. There's the fish I used. There's leaves of different sizes. I'm excited to do this one, this betta fish. This one looks like my betta fish, Mike. And I kind of looked at Mike a lot to see where the fins and everything laid to try to get that idea of what order to put these in. Although I do think this one actually is the only one that has the order written down. But there's all different kinds of fish. There's some cool stuff in here. So worth trying is my final say. I think it's worth trying, but I think don't get frustrated if the first time you try it, it doesn't turn out great because it's a little tricky to get it all lined up perfectly. And I didn't quite do that. All these. So there's a lot of cool designs in here. So I will link you in the description to all 3, the large, medium, and small set. They're all different prices, but when you break it down, they're a little bit less than 50 cents for each sheet, which is pretty awesome. Please go look up the videos of people doing this while painting by hand, because those are amazing, and you're just not going to get that result with this. So thank you as always for watching. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as the Frugal Resinista, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.